The diesel engine you paid thousands more for can legally carry less than the cheaper gas engine in the exact same truck. Not towing. Payload, the number that actually matters once you load a camper, a gooseneck, or even just tools and gear in the bed. On the same Ford F-250, the same year, same platform, the gas engine is rated to carry 4,246 pounds. The diesel is rated to carry 4,048. That's real weight you lose. Not because the diesel is worse at anything it's supposed to do, because the diesel engine itself is heavier, and that weight comes straight out of what you're allowed to load. So what happens when you don't know that number? One widely cited industry estimate says roughly 80% of standard camper owners on standard HD trucks are already over their legal weight limit, either admitting it or suspecting it themselves. And if that overloaded truck is ever in an accident, insurance claims get disputed on exactly that basis. This is the diesel payload trap. Here's the number almost nobody checks before they buy. Every truck has a gross vehicle weight rating GVWR. That's the maximum safe loaded weight of the entire truck, set by the manufacturer, printed on a certification sticker inside the driver's side door jamb. Not a marketing number. A legal one. Payload capacity is simple math from there, GVWR minus the truck's actual curb weight. Whatever's left over is what you're allowed to load passengers, cargo, tools, a camper, anything sitting in or on that truck. Most buyers never look at this number. They look at towing capacity, because that's the number in the commercial. But towing and payload are two completely different specs, governed by two completely different limits. You can be nowhere near your max tow rating and still be dangerously over your payload, especially with anything sitting directly on the truck itself instead of being pulled behind it. The sticker in your door jamb has the real number for your specific truck. Not the brochure. Not the trim level average. Your truck, as built, with whatever engine is actually under the hood. And that's exactly where the diesel engine becomes a problem nobody warns you about. Here's the mechanism, and it's simpler than people expect. Take the Ford F-250 Super Duty, same platform, same model year, two engine choices. The 7.3L gas V8 is rated for a maximum payload of 4,246 pounds. The 6.7L Power Stroke diesel on the same truck is rated for 4,048 pounds. That's not a rounding difference. That's real payload gone. And the reason is straightforward. The diesel engine itself weighs more than the gas engine. More iron, more cooling capacity, more emissions hardware bolted to the block. All of that weight sits on the truck's frame before you've loaded a single pound of cargo. Remember the math from a minute ago. Payload is GVWR minus curb weight. If the engine alone adds weight to the curb side of that equation, the payload side has to shrink to match. The GVWR doesn't change. The truck just weighs more before you touch it. So the diesel doesn't make the truck more capable in every way. It makes it heavier before you've loaded anything, and that weight comes directly out of what you're legally allowed to carry. Nobody explains this at the dealership. The diesel gets sold on torque numbers and towing capability. The payload sticker gets handled after the sale, if it gets mentioned at all. Here's where the missing payload number turns into a real problem on the road. One widely cited industry estimate puts it plainly, roughly 80% of standard camper owners on standard HD trucks are already over their legal weight limit, either admitting it outright or suspecting it themselves when they actually think about the math. That's not a government study, it's an industry estimate. But it matches what happens when buyers pick a diesel for its towing numbers and never check what's left over for payload. And overloading isn't a paperwork problem, it's a mechanical one. Braking performance degrades. Steering response gets worse, rollover risk goes up. All three of those get worse specifically because the suspension, brakes, and tires were engineered around a weight limit, and once you're past it, none of those systems are working the way they were designed to. Picture the buyer who upgrades to the diesel specifically because it tows more, then loads a truck camper on top of that same truck because it should handle it. The diesel's own weight already ate into the payload before the camper went on. That buyer can be over their legal limit and never know it, because nobody walked them through the actual subtraction. Here's the part that turns an overloaded truck from a mechanical risk into a financial one. Multiple truck accident legal resources describe the same pattern. When an overloaded vehicle is involved in an accident, insurance claims commonly get disputed or denied on the basis that overloading itself is a preventable safety regulation violation. Not an act of God. Not bad luck. A documented preventable choice that the owner could have checked before ever loading the truck. That means the accident doesn't have to be caused by the overload directly for it to become part of the argument. If your truck is found to be over its GVWR at the time of a crash, that fact alone can be used to dispute liability coverage regardless of what actually caused the collision. Think about what that means in practice. You paid extra for the diesel. You never checked the payload sticker. You loaded a camper you assumed the truck could handle. None of that shows up as a problem until the one day it matters most. In the middle of an insurance claim, you're now fighting to get covered. That's the actual cost of not knowing this number. It's not really about diesel versus gas. It's about knowing which number you're legally responsible for. So here's what you actually do about this, starting today. First, go check your driver's side door jam sticker right now. That number is specific to your truck, your engine, your trim, your options, not the brochure average. That's the number that actually governs what you're allowed to carry. Second, if you regularly load a camper, gooseneck, toolbox, or heavy gear, get the truck weighed loaded at a CAT scale, not estimated, not assumed, actually weighed with everything on it that you normally carry. That's the only way to know if you're really under your limit or one of the 80% who isn't. Third, when you're shopping for a diesel specifically for towing, ask directly what payload you're giving up compared to the gas engine on the same trim. The salesperson selling you torque numbers may not volunteer that number unless you ask for it directly. None of this means the diesel was the wrong choice. It means you now know the actual number the diesel engine cost you, and the number that matters most isn't on the brochure. It's on the sticker inside your own door. The diesel engine you paid extra for is genuinely better at towing. Nobody's arguing that. What it isn't automatically better at is carrying weight, because the engine's own weight is part of the math, and most buyers never see that subtraction happen. 80% of standard camper owners on standard HD trucks are estimated to already be over their limit. If insurance ever gets involved after an accident, that overload can become the reason a claim gets disputed, regardless of what actually caused the crash. Now you know which number to check before you load anything else onto that truck. Sound off in the comments. Have you ever actually weighed your truck loaded at a CAT scale? What did the real number look like next to the sticker in your door? That comparison is worth more to other owners than anything in this video. Hit subscribe. This is Truck Truth Q. We've got more hidden numbers like this one, queued up, the kind dealers don't walk you through. Unless you ask. That video is coming.